Let's bring in Dr. Erwin Redlener, founding director for the National Center for Disaster Preparedness at Columbia University and an expert in public health. Max Rose is still with us. Doctor, thanks so much for being here.
Sure. Happy to be.
To help me understand, what was the most alarming part of what you just heard?
Well, I would start with the entire interview, which was first of all, it was so offensive to listen to this complete absence of decorum, normal communications, and disrespect for journalists, by the way, which has become a thing in the Trump administration, modeled by Donald Trump and copied by basically everybody that works for him, including Bobby Kennedy Jr. As far as he was concerned in this interview, it was literally appalling. There was one misrepresentation after another. There was absolute misstatement of facts. There was an absurd answer to what the country needs to do to prepare for the next pandemic, which he talked about somehow protecting the Constitution. What Dana Bash was asking him is, how are we going to save lives when the next pandemic occurs? And there should be a very clear and immediate response that is answering the question.
What would be the appropriate response?
The appropriate response is that our hospitals are ready. We have the supply chain ready. We are prepared to do rapid evaluation of new vaccines to protect people. We're prepared to make sure that we have the appropriate public health measures ready to go when such an event is occurring. And we need to have surveillance in place, working with the rest of the countries in the world to understand when we are actually facing the threat of a new pandemic. This is the head of our public health operations in the United States of America. It was a pitiful, inadequate response to a critical question that affects Americans. And, you know, that's the tip of the iceberg with Bobby, and it's just one of the things that he waved into during this outrageous interview that he gave.
It is interesting to me, Max, that they have him out on the trail. He's actually one of their most sought after surrogates. The argument has been made to me that the Maha portion of the MAGA coalition might actually be the most enduring part because they were able to bring in sort of disparate political ideologies that have remained salient. As a messaging person, it's interesting to me, too, that you could give the answer that Dr. Redlener gave and then button it up by saying, and we also need to make sure that some of the mistakes that were made or some of the ways that people interacted with these mandates changes. You actually you could sell it in a way that he's just interested in hitting the talking points.
Look, I refer to the doctor on all matters of substance, but as a partisan Democrat,
because you are not a scientist.
I'm not a scientist. I could cosplay one, but I'm not one. But look, putting all matters of substance aside, as a partisan Democrat, I would urge them to keep this whack job on the campaign trail right through Election Day. You have to think, what could they possibly be thinking? That is not a message that wins over one independent. It scares the hell out of people that, to be against vaccines and for things like measles and other scary diseases to be on the rise. Perhaps the only thing, though, that could be happening right now that is rational is that they are looking at these poll numbers and saying we have to go for Hail Marys now. We have to excite an extremist subset of our already extremist base that hates any and all vaccines and wants us to go back 100 years in terms of medical science. So that shows us one thing about this MAGA movement now. They are willing to put people's lives on the line to try to get one more vote. And that's just horrific.
Well, you talk about people's lives on the line, as you mentioned measles. We're now seeing rates of measles we haven't seen in 35 years. You had Kennedy pressed on that, too. Take a listen to what he said.
Are you willing to say to parents who have not vaccinated their kids that they should vaccinate their kids for measles because it is safe and it will help them save their children's lives?
We tell people on my websites, my public
right now,
and I'll
look
say
into the
it right
camera.
now that parents should get their children vaccinated for measles. A measles vaccine is effective.
I mean, you can sort of hear the collective deep sigh of every pediatrician in America. She still had to push him to get there.
Not only did she have to push him to get there, this man has been the most influential anti-vaxxer on planet Earth way before he became the Secretary of HHS. So He said that today, but yesterday and tomorrow, he's giving a very different message, which is why, and I really agree with Max in terms of the political reality of him going out there and sounding like a lunatic. That's got political implications. However, it is also exacerbating people's hesitancy about getting their children vaccinated. And that's a life and death matter. So, underneath the political reality is a bigger reality, in my view, is that you cannot go around discouraging people based on snake oil theories and the conspiratorial perspective that Bobby Kennedy brings to every single speech, every single interview that he gives. And he's dangerous, basically. So as a public health person, the man is not just wrong, he is actually dangerous to the health of Americans and the health of people worldwide because of his extraordinary influence, unfortunately.
Dangerous, not just wrong. That is a hell of a way to set the stakes. Dr. Erwin Redlener, thank you so much for being with us.
Sure.